Okay, we're here to talk about the new Marvel hotness, Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm Paul, with me is Hank.
Hello, I'm Hank.
I'm gonna be completely upfront. I don't know that I have a lot to say necessarily about this first episode, but kind of what's like what they're doing with it, I guess, is kind of where the conversation is gonna go, because it is, as we were talking about, a straight up action show for a lot of it.
Yeah.
There's some cool shit going on in there, though. Okay, I guess, like, the big first thing is it kind of throws us into Falcon doing some stuff, stopping the terrorist group LAF in, like, the Middle East somewhere. I can't remember where exactly. Mm-hmm. This is saying Tunisia, I guess. Who they've hijacked a plane, and they've taken an Air Force officer hostage, and it's just like a big 10-minute like giant sequence that I thought this was neat because I think it's kind of just like, hey, remember, this is a Marvel thing. We have all the money. This is a fucking, like, this, we just blew what some TV shows get in their lifetime for budget in 10 minutes of this thing. Like,
yeah.
It's fucking crazy how big this, like, I'm trying to think of other shows that have something this, like, wild with a budget, and there is, like, very few, just in general.
I mean, the strong contrast is, like, anytime I've ever seen any of those DC shows that are on the CW, and it's just like two people talking in a room, like always.
Totally. This is straight up like, oh, this would have been in a movie. Yeah. Like this scene.
Yeah.
He is flying around. It looks great. He's like, they're doing a huge action set piece that ends in the cool way of him going through, like, being targeted by, like, homing missiles and then going through the fucking airplane because he's a single man with wings, grabbing the dude and then, like, using the missiles to blow up the thing. Like, it's fucking dope.
And it's literally only there for spectacle. Like, it also kind of
it's only there for
doesn't
spectacle.
matter.
It doesn't at all matter. Like, I guess it sets up that, okay, he's back. He still exists in some regard with, like, the Pentagon or something. Mm-hmm. And, like, there's the terrorist group LAF is still around. That's kind of all it is. Yeah. Or, like, terrorist groups are still around, I guess, just in general. But, yeah, that's totally it. Like, that. And, honestly, it's kind of the only action sequence we get. But it's pretty fucking big. So I'm not going to fault them for that. And it's actually the other stuff in this show that I like more. I just thought that was interesting that it's like, hey, remember, like, we have money. It's like, yeah, you guys have a lot of money.
And, like, this show is only, like, 6 episodes.
And it's only, like, 6 episodes.
So we can blow that money pretty willing. Every episode, I'm sure, will have some set piece to it.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And I'm kind of excited to see it. Mm-hmm. I like just a nice set piece, and then there's like other shit going on. So this
also,
is kind
Red
of like
Wing
the opening.
Is OP, honestly.
Yes, yeah, for sure. It's stupid how OP it is. This is kind of just like the beginning of shit. Like, this is a Marvel thing, so here's a thing to get your eyes wet with, basically. Mm-hmm. And then it goes into what is, I find interesting just about this show in general and kind of how they're going. It's actually really about how the world, but more specifically, these two characters that had a close connection to Steve Rogers, Captain America, live in a world that kind of no longer has Captain America in it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, after all this bullshit, Sam was given the shield by Steve, and there's kind of like a reminder thing of him saying, like, how does it feel? And he's like, it feels like somebody else's, blah, blah, blah. And he hands over the shield to, like, the Smithsonian or something, to, like, a museum.
The Captain America Museum, whatever that is.
Yeah. Some government museum or whatever. Mm. Because like it's just kind of a small part to show that he's struggled with the idea of like he doesn't feel like he is the right person or like he can't or whatever.
Yeah.
We don't know yet, but he doesn't feel like he's able to take up the mantle of Captain America, even though that's obviously what Steve wanted. So he's like, no, this is a symbol. It should be in a museum.
It belongs in a museum.
It belongs in a museum, like just straight up. So he hands it over. And that's kind of where his story ends for a moment. And we go to Bucky having a nightmare, or like it seems like he's doing something. We find out it's a nightmare, but it's a nightmare for when he was doing some Hydra shit and murdering a lot of people. Yeah,
it's like it's a nightmare, but also it's kind of a flashback to him being the Winter Soldier.
Yes, exactly. Of him being very... So this is one of the actual notes I took, is that he was wearing his face mask because the Winter Soldier wears a face mask. And he was making sure he was socially distanced as he fucking murdered a whole room of people. So yeah. So he's the good guy.
He's a responsible adult.
Nobody else in that place had a mask, and he was showing them he didn't like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he has a nightmare, and then we see him in therapy talking to apparently a therapist who was in the Marines or something, who he's been with for a while now, because they're having a back and forth of where she's kind of an unprofessional piece of shit.
Yeah, she's an asshole.
She is an asshole, but like he's obviously not giving her anything also.
Yeah.
Like there's literally the whole point of like, are you still having the nightmares? And he said no, even though we just saw it, so we know he's a liar. Or at least
like kill her dad or her grandfather or something. Goddamn.
She's real rude to him. Like real rude. I don't know what her problem. I guess that she's just sick of his shit or something is what I assume. But she kind of says a line about how like she's a better soldier or whatever. So I think they just kind of gave him whoever was around that has any degree in psych or something. So he got kind of a bad egg in that regard, I suppose.
Man.
And it kind of like has him, it shows that he's kind of dealing with, it does, okay, I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but he's dealing with like the post Captain America world by like being the only person who's 500 years old or something stupid like that in this time. And also just like he was friends with Steve, so like there's pieces of that in there. His whole thing more so though is that he is obviously traumatized by the PTSD of what he was forced to do, and that's kind of what he's trying to deal with right now.
Yeah.
And we'll learn more about that in a moment, because it goes back to Sam talking with family down in like Georgia or Louisiana or something.
I think it's New Orleans.
It's Louisiana. Yeah.
Louisiana.
Delacroix.
Oh, Delacroix.
He goes down to try to help his sister reinvigorate their family fishing and restaurant business or whatever with money, because this is like kind of a thing that is interesting in comics that the MCU hasn't dealt with yet until now. But like they don't have money. Like superheroes don't make money, apparently. They either have money or they don't have money.
So this is like where it also like the show is about explicitly like more focused on a world without Captain America, but like this stuff is more like this is a world without the Avengers as an institution. Even like the Falcon doesn't have any kind of support. There's no support structure for him as a superhero. Although I don't like the way he describes it, because it's like, oh, that's not how it works. And it's like, it's not how it works for you because you've been gone for 5 years. And even before that, you were like on the run with Steve Rogers as like wanted criminals hanging out in Europe after Civil War. Like, I'm sure War Machine has a pension.
Yeah, because he's straight up government.
Yeah.
Yeah, so of course he does. Yeah, I took it more of just like the Avengers didn't have money, like not money, but they didn't get a paycheck. And then I was thinking back, I'm like, oh yeah, Tony probably just like paid for food and like people just lived in on his compound. He probably didn't pay them.
Well, in the comics, the way it is, like, actually, is like he sets up a nonprofit to take care of paying the Avengers. But like,
oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
they
like,
didn't get into that
under
at all in
situations
this
where like the
universe.
Avengers are wanted criminals. That obviously doesn't happen, and that's really where Sam was last time he was an Avenger. So
yeah, and then he was just straight up gone.
Look,
there's also peppering of racism in America going on in here as well, which I think is important. He is a black superhero living in the shadow of the most powerful white superhero ever for this country. Like, I get it. They don't really stay on that point. It's more just kind of like the bank guy is just like, what did you guys do with your money? And he's like, what money?
Because like a large part of this is about Sam probably becoming Captain America. And like a black Captain America is an idea that the show's not gonna like. It's not gonna hit it that hard, but it wants it to be present, like in the room.
Sure, yeah.
Like, so, yeah.
And there's like a whole bunch of character stuff here too, about how he was gone and she had to like, his sister had to like pick up the pieces of their family, and stuff about like their dad is in there a little bit, but like not really. I don't know. There's a bunch of like just character stuff that is important, but I'm going to say for our purposes isn't important because
like
we're not going to see that
the
stuff.
tension of will they save the boat, like that doesn't matter. the boat will be fine. It's not I'm not worried about it in this show.
Right, exactly.
Like that's not going to be the stakes of this show is do they save the boat?
It might be a joke though, where like they do save the boat and then it gets destroyed in the final act, or like I could see them coming back.
The boat will come back, but I'm not like I'm not hanging on every boat plot. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. I guess the bigger so that's kind of the stuff that's going on in the background. The big stuff about this episode is Sam talks to a friend of his named Joaquin Torres, apparently. And Torres is investigating a group called the Flag Smashers in Europe. And they're terrorists who believe that life was better after people, or before people came back, essentially. And they're anti-establishment, anti-patriotism, blah, blah, blah. All of this stuff that you would expect. But there's like not much known about them. They're kind of using social media and AR to recruit people. They're kind of just like they are kind of the white nationalist movement, but like without Marvel getting political is essentially what it is. Weirdly, and
I'll go into comic book stuff with what they're based on.
About Flag Smasher?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'll go on it later. Let's finish the summary first.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to talk about...
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Back to it.
So that's what's going on with him. At some point, he kind of pretends to be one of them or whatever to kind of infiltrate and try to get the leader. The leader kicks him into a pole and kicks him in the face or whatever. He beats the shit out of him, but he doesn't kill him, which is kind of odd to me. But then this is Marvel and Disney, so of course he probably doesn't kill him just straight out. So he's injured, and when they are robbing a bank of some sort or whatever, and it's a very like, it's weirdly just like a classical like bank heist type thing where they're dudes in suits with like masks or whatever, and they just walk in essentially. Not like they all have like the same mask that's like painted over or whatever, so they all look the same, like an Anonymous.
It's a Dark Knight, but
yeah,
but also with a hint of like Anonymous stuff. Yeah,
I didn't really want to say it, but it's very much a Dark Knight. For sure. That whole scene felt weirdly out of place in Marvel to me, but I guess
it's not as dark as the version. He didn't just start like shooting everyone who's doing a handoff.
He didn't do a disappearing pen trick or any of that shit either. No. Like it's a kiddie version of that, but it has the same kind of feel to it. So that's going on, and it kind of ends off with him calling Sam, and then we'll talk about the end in a second. But like that happens. Nothing really comes of it yet, except for that this happened. On the other side, we have Bucky, who is friends with an old Asian man who we find out that the old Asian man, he's trying to make amends to because he killed his son. And that's kind of who we get in the nightmare of him like murdering some innocent dude. And like this is haunting him or whatever. And just in general, the whole time we're with Bucky, he has a list of people he's trying to make amends to. He has a new rule of no killing, no unnecessary violence, and like making amends to people he's wronged. Like he has a thing going on in his head or whatever. And it made for like kind of a funny scene where he beats the shit out of somebody to like break into some woman's car and say sorry to her. Which I like, sure. That seems like the type of dumb, weird, like good guy douchebag thing that he would do. So whatever, that's fine. But the big thing is he goes on a date with a pretty Asian lady that he meets at the bar with this dude that he's making amends to, and he kind of has a weird fish out of water freak out because the only other person who he ever could have related to is gone, and he's just like trying to deal with the fact that he's 102, I think he says, years old in this world where he has no tie to the past. The only tie he ever had, or like any person he could talk to, is now gone. And like he's just kind of, and he's not even in the position where Sam is like still a beloved Avenger, even though like they've had shakeups or whatever. He's a fucking terrorist. Yeah. Essentially. And like, yeah, so he's dealing with all that shit. And it kind of ends with him like going back to that old guy's room after he has the weird little date freak out, seeing that he's like praying about his son and like having a mental breakdown essentially. So that's kind of his whole thing, is that both of them are dealing with traumas of their own, but like his is very apparent. Yeah, for sure. It's right in your fucking face that he had a rough time of things. It ends with, so they didn't get the loan. It ends with Sam getting the phone call and then looking on the TV, and the government announced a new Captain America using his shield, and he looks all like, fuck, like disturbed about it. And that's kind of how the show ends. Yeah. Okay. A lot of cool shit to talk about that's like for like ideas that are working in here. I like the trauma angle a lot. Yeah. I think that like that's a pretty good way to do things.
Bucky was the Winter Soldier longer than he was not the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to talk about Flag Smasher? There's actually a bunch of stuff going on there.
Yeah, it's just that the main thing I want to bring up is just like that a bunch of other stuff like Flag Smasher and this idea of like we have to make a new Captain America, that the government Captain America, the U.S. agent, eventually kind of stuff comes from this particular run of Marvel in the by Mark Grunwald, who wrote Captain America from like 1985 to 1995. Like he wrote Captain America for fucking ever, so he created character. All those stories are based on that stuff, and so they're taking that stuff and then like Flag Smasher was like an individual character that had his group was like Ultimatum, and it's an acronym for some fucking dumb. I have to look it up, but it's so hard to look up because.
So it's a full-on an acronym for something.
Yes.
Oh my god. Okay, I have to know this. I'm gonna try to help you look it up here.
Okay, Ultimatum.
Affiliation ultimatum. Okay.
The underground liberated, totally integrated mobile army to unite mankind.
Ugh. Like, they didn't need to do that, but okay, yeah.
So in this, they've just changed them to the Flag Smashers instead of using that name.
Also, they changed the gender of Flag Smasher and the leader. I guess, like, she is not named Flag Smasher, but the leader of this group is Carly Morgenthau or whatever instead of Carl. Kind of interesting choice they made.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know anything about this character yet in the show, so it's hard to say if it's a good or bad one. Yeah. But, like, sure, why not? Mm-hmm. Who cares? I'm sure people do care. I don't. I don't care at all about this change.
Well, it's just so it's more funny to me. Just like I just want to note the Mark Gruenwald thing because I feel like so many other places I see talk about this stuff are going to jump to Ed Brubaker's run, which is the run that brought back Bucky as and made Bucky Captain America. And like where all the Winter Soldier stuff comes from, but like a lot of the stuff they're introducing here is way older than that. So I just don't want those comics to be forgotten. Because like I literally listened to a podcast that tried to give it all the credit to Ed Brubaker. I'm like, come on.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
And then like the Sam Wilson actually becoming Captain America stuff is even more recent than any of the Ed Brubaker stuff.
So do you think they're just going to do that? Is that like kind of what you're going for? You think they're going to do?
I think eventually it's just going to be Sam as Captain America.
I'm kind of wondering, do you think they skip all of that and they just go to, hey, Young Avengers, we have the Patriot now. We like open the door for a black Captain America type. This is it. That'd be kind of interesting.
It'd be cool. I just don't think we're close enough.
Yeah, because we haven't even met that character, like that person yet.
Yeah.
So it would be kind of weird to have a person that important just come out of the shadows in a TV show and then get a movie.
Yeah.
Like, it seems a little weird. That's true.
I just want
I don't know.
I want other fake Captain America. I want Nuke to show up. Who's also from the Mark Gruenwald run. Who's just like a super muscly dude with like Eddie Brock haircut, and he has an American flag like tattooed on his face. He's called Nuke.
So
more assholes. But
do you know who this new Captain America they showed at the end is?
I'm pretty sure.
I know the actor.
It's
but
just
I don't know who
US
it is.
Agent. John Walker.
Oh, okay. Okay, sure. Did they say who he is at all?
No.
Okay. Yeah, because I couldn't. They only show him, and then it kind of cuts to credits, right? Like,
yeah.
I didn't miss anything. I don't think
the plot summary on Wikipedia refers to him as John Walker. So I wonder if that's in the credits.
Oh, yeah, I didn't actually read the credits. So, sure. Yeah, they probably would have credited him with something. Okay, yeah, again, I guess, like, not a whole...
I mean, he's just the government Captain America.
He's Government America, yeah.
Yeah, like, that character gets introduced when Captain America quits, because he's, like, mad at the U.S. government for... Vietnam and stuff, I think.
Sure. Makes sense. Something to probably be mad about.
Yeah.
Okay, just some other basic stuff. It's nice to see War Machine in here, Don Cheadle, having a conversation.
Yeah, that conversation.
Because again, that's a good conversation. It's good to see like other members that we know of like the MCU at large still exist in some way, and they like, because they're under the Disney and MCU umbrella, all of this stuff, they can pay them or don't have to pay them for appearance rights or any of that sort of thing. So like, it's nice to just have that synchronicity, is that a word? Like how that all works together between the movies and this. It's kind of the same thing that we've talked about in WandaVision, where it's like, this is all under their umbrella, so of course they can just make reference and like have flashbacks to the movies. And that's just kind of like a nice thing that continues on by having people like Don Cheadle be able to just have a walk-on role to chat essentially. Trying to think if there's anything else specifically I wanted to talk about. I think that's pretty much an episode for the opening. It got me a lot more than I thought it would, because it isn't just stupid big action all the time. There's actually like pretty important underlying character shit going on. And that's what I liked about WandaVision before that became a big stupid action thing at the end. And it kind of lost me. Yeah. So yeah, no,
there's a bunch. I mean, there's a bunch going on, and fucking Baron Zemo hasn't even shown up yet. It is purple mask.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm so excited.
That's true. Yeah, this will be a good placeholder for 6 weeks or whatever before.
Yeah,
we get like into characters I'm more interested in.
6 episodes seems totally fine. Like, I don't need like 10 years of Bucky and the Winter Soldier, but
I will say it has made me care more about these characters already, showing that they're characters, because they don't get like any time in the movies, really. Yeah, for like them, especially Falcon. Falcon gets nothing. Every time you see him, he's just like, "Oh, here's Falcon. Go fly around, bird boy. Let's get an aerial view or something." I don't know. Fuck
he
off.
was a social worker when we met him.
I don't remember that even.
That's what his job was. He was retired from the military. He was working as a social worker at a veterans hospital or something.
Oh, awesome. What a actually, you know what? That is Captain more of a America. Hero thing.
Yeah.
Like actual dude. Hero shit. Yeah. And Bucky's just a piece of shit, but I like that this is kind of like, yeah, he knows. Trust me.
Yeah.
He's dealing with
He's not happy about it either.
Yeah. So that's pretty fun. I look forward to more of it. I think it's pretty good. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, I'm just, I'm excited we're going to get Baron Zemo in that dumb purple mask. That's what I crave.
Are you sure?
I'm 100% sure we're getting him in the purple mask. I know the actor was very excited to be in the purple mask.
Oh, okay. That's kind of funny. Oh, man. All right, well, thank you for listening. Hope you have been enjoying it as well, and we'll talk to you next time.